Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into the Brevard County School Board Forum. Today, we have a great opportunity to be able to get to know the candidates here today. I'm Zach Clark with Space Coast Daily. With me, I have Vanessa Skipper, the Vice President of the Brevard Federation of Teachers. With education being the cornerstone of progress, we're honored to have each candidate here tonight to join us in sharing their visions, their insights, and their plans for shaping education landscape in Brevard County. Tonight, we have the District 3, where we have our candidates, where we have Amber Yance, and we also have John Thomas with us.
All right, so we want to talk about a little bit of audience decorum. I see a lot of teaching faces in the audience, so all of my educators, you can help me do some audience management tonight. I know we're sitting family style, so that kind of lends itself to side chatter. We're going to ask you guys not to do that. Side chatter in the audience is very distracting to not only the candidates that are up front, but it makes it hard for everybody else to hear. We also have the expectation that not only are you going to be quiet and respectful while our candidates are talking, but there's not going to be shouting out or any other behavior that would detract from the audience here or the audience at home. We would like to set a model and a bipartisan example for all of our students, families, and citizens who care about Brevard Public Schools. Anyone in the audience who is being disrespectful to candidates, moderators, or fellow attendees will be required to leave the event. We hope we do not have to do that. And so all of my teachers out there with your classroom management skills hats on, please. And audience members, thank you for being here. But let's set a great example for everybody in the room and everybody watching at home.
Tonight, we're live streaming on Space Coast Daily TV, on the Facebook page, also on the YouTube page as well. We want the community to also get involved in the conversation, as well as this is a really important topic regarding education in our community. So if you are tuning in on a live stream, go ahead and leave a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. Also, if you have an opinion or you think somebody's winning the debate, go ahead and voice your opinion on our comments section on Facebook or YouTube. Now tonight, each candidate's going to be allotted 2 minutes to respond to each question. For questions 2 through 5, an additional 1 minute response time will be allotted if needed and available. If you go over on your time, the time will simply be subtracted from your next response window. A time reminder will be provided 15 seconds before your time ends so that you have the ability to wrap up your statements in a timely manner. This is strictly a subject debate, and there will be no naming of your opponent during your responses. It is important that we follow this guideline to maintain decorum in the bipartisan environment that we are seeking. Questions will alternate each round on first response opportunity to ensure fairness to each candidate. So without further ado, here we go. We're going to get started here. We're going to start with each candidate introducing themselves. Provide us why you're running and what uniquely qualifies you to be suited for this position, what you believe the expectations of an elected school board member should be. And we'll start with Amber Yance.
Hello, everybody. My name is Amber Yance, and I am a mother of 5 children, school-age children. I'm also a realtor, so I've been in this building for the past 8 years. I would like to say what makes me qualified for the school board is I'm a big advocate for our public education. A lot of you in here know firsthand that I spend a lot of my time within our schools, whether it's volunteering. I've volunteered to go on very many field trips, even decorated for school dances. I've also made sure that every game, our football players had the chance to sit down together and have a meal together before every game every week. And I think that's pretty much it.
John?
Well, thank you to the Brevard Federation of Teachers and Space Coast Daily for hosting this. My name is John Thomas, and the reason why I'm running is the last several years I've heard from many friends that were either teachers or spouses of teachers, and just heard the horror stories of what teachers had been going through, and that either they were counting the days to retirement or they had already left. or they were trying to find another job. So that was kind of always in the back of my mind. This seat opened up, and it made me do some serious thinking. I know in this community we have done an outstanding job of attracting businesses here from all over the world, but those businesses in 10 or 15 years won't have a workforce to sustain them if we don't do something more with our education system. So that is a big piece of it, because I'm a big Space Coast guy. I've grown up here. I'm a lifelong citizen here. Grew up in Indiana, attended Hoover Middle School, Melbourne High School, and Brevard Community College for you old timers. So anyways, my roots are deep here, and I've always, I care about this community. And last but definitely not least is I have 6 grandkids, and 3 of them are in Brevard Public Schools, and I have 3 more on the way, and if my middle son gets to work, I'll have some more beyond that. So I just care about this community, and I care about the school system, and I know that there's some issues that need to be addressed, and I look forward to hopefully having that opportunity.
Awesome, thank you very much. I did forget to give a reminder to please silence your cell phone, so if you have not done that, please do so. For this question, we will start with you, Mr. Thomas. Like many districts around the state of Florida, Brevard Public Schools is facing a severe teacher and support staff shortage. Florida ranks 50th in average teacher pay, and Brevard's teachers are being paid less than the state average. Where will you find the money to address this disparity?
Well, that's $1 million question. But to be honest with you, we have a $1.4 billion budget that is, or $1 million budget that is $1.4 billion budget, excuse me. But that is, where that money comes from. I will tell you, from serving on the Melbourne City Council, I was elected 2 terms, back from 2006 to 2014, and going into that office, I had all these grand plans. I was able to, I thought I knew exactly how the budget was going to work, and I can tell you don't know what you don't know. So I will tell you, it'd be disingenuous for me to tell you I have this great plan that we're going to be able to cut here and do this and be able to give you, give huge raises right away. I will tell you this. I raised a family on a limited income, being a police officer. I understand the demands that are placed on a family, on the teachers. I was a member of the police union. I've worked with the police union as a city manager, as a city council member. I've been endorsed by both of the unions over with the police and fire when I was on the city council, so I understand the dynamics. And that being said, I do think there's some money. This year, the state of Florida had a sales tax surplus, and we've had it for the past 3 years. I think it was $1.2 billion this past year. The governor did give back money to the citizens in various ways. I'd like to, I don't know why we don't do this now, but I'd like to see all of our school boards unite and see if we can't ask the governor to give some of that money back to the teachers, especially the teachers that are experienced, where that compression has been, we've raised the pay for first, for new teachers, but the experienced teachers, there's a huge gap. So I'd like to see if we can get money to do that. And I think that the key to that is it will allow us to keep our millage rate down. So asking for sales tax, which is provided from usage from not only us, you and me, but also from tourists and people visiting our state, is a great way to try to fill that gap. So that's, off a cuff, that is my response to that. I just don't want to give you tell you I have a grand plan and have it change. So thank you.
Amber, that was a long question, so either of you let me know or let us know if you need us to repeat one.
Okay. So I think that perhaps we should start paying teachers an actual livable wage. We need to pay them as the professionals that they are. And one thing that I've learned recently is that I didn't know before is that the teachers here on our Space Coast, they actually receive $2,000 less than the Florida national average for teacher salary, which is crazy. How does our school board want to change this statistic? They need to make sure that they pressure the state legislature to provide more funding for our teachers. We need to provide accurate funding for a livable wage. Our current board did not bring up any of the issues for teacher pay during any of those meetings. So we need a school board that's willing to stand up for our teachers, put pressure on our state, and make funding more available.
Thank you very much, Amber. After the senseless tragedy at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in 2018, where 17 students and school staff members were murdered, legislation was passed to make Florida schools more secure, and a massive initiative to strengthen BPS security and address the mental health needs of students was implemented. What are your thoughts on the progress in the area of school security and addressing the mental health needs of our students? Specific to your role as a board member, how would you address these areas? We'll start with Amber.
Okay. So recently, our school district received a glowing review from the Office of Safe Schools. The overall impression was unannounced from this visit. It was an unannounced visit, and their only complaint was that, actually there wasn't any complaint. The only complaint, my goodness, there was no complaints. The only thing that they said was that they felt safe, which is great news. So if the school board needs to focus more on mental healthness, and our students and our teachers, we need to secure funding to increase the number of social workers and support staff for our teachers, and we need to reduce the stress.
John.
Well, thank you. My background is that I'm a 14-year law enforcement veteran, so this issue is very close to me and close to heart. I will tell you that I think we've come a long way over the last 10 or 15 years addressing mental health and security in schools, but we can do a lot better. And I will tell you there's a big difference between mental health and mental illness, just like there's a big difference between physical health and physical illness. So the more vibrant mental health program we have, the less mental illness issues we will have. And so that's on the mental health issue. On the mental health side, I think that we can improve significantly by making sure that our resources, we have a limited number of social workers that are in the schools. And I think, as I understand it now, they are divided evenly among the schools. And not all schools have the same number of mental health issues. There are some students that are faced, especially in economically disadvantaged homes, that they have more stresses, more family issues, more things that need to be addressed. So I think if we adequately deploy our resources, our social workers, to where they need to be used, not necessarily to be equal time between schools, I think it'd be a more efficient use, and hopefully we'd get better results. On the security side, you haven't hit in 1 minute yet, so. On the security side, I think Sheriff Ivey has done a really, truly an outstanding job trying to make sure our schools are safe. I know it's first and foremost on his mind. A couple things that I would like to see addressed is I think that every summer the local police departments and that surround the schools, that are in the school's neighborhood, that they every summer have a walkthrough of the campus, that they work with the SROs of that campus so they understand where things are, where the buildings are, where the potential hiding places are, and so nobody's walking in blind if there was an emergency. The second thing I'd like to do is to see teachers. There's a big push for, shooting and shooters, on-campus shooters, I think there also needs to be a push for training teachers how to de-escalate situations and how to handle a situation if they're physically confronted. So that's more of an issue, I think, than anything, and that's something that needs to be an ongoing, whether it's a semester, whatever we can do every semester, or at least once a year, have a refresher where teachers can gain an understanding how to protect themselves and how to de-escalate situations. Thank you.
Awesome. So we'll start with John. Since 2020, BPS has seen a significant drop in student enrollment, with parents choosing alternative options outside BPS to educate their children. As a board member, do you feel that it is your role to attract these families back to BPS? If so, what would that look like for you?
I believe it's every person who's employed by BPS and every school board member's job to make BPS the very best it can be. And I think that the culture is a huge thing. I see a dysfunction between the culture between the school board and the BPS administration, between the BPS administration and the teachers. So I think there's a huge issue of culture that needs to be resolved. Once that's resolved and we're all moving in the same direction, we're all rowing, towards the same goal, I think that parents and students will want to come back to BPS. So to answer your question, yes, it's a school board's role, but it's also everybody that's involved at BPS.
Amber?
So I believe BPS needs to remain competitive with other education providers. And how we do that is we provide the best facilities, the best teachers, and the best curriculum. BPS and FLVS have a great partnership together, and they work with homeschooling programs.
Thanks, guys. As a board member, you will be responsible for managing a $1 billion budget. As a candidate, do you believe there are areas of the budget that are currently problematic? And if so, how could the funds be put to better use? We'll start with John.
Well, a $1.4 billion budget's a huge budget to manage. And I will tell you that I have not gone through with a fine-tooth comb this next year's budget. But I will tell you that I think that we need to keep student success as a top priority, teachers right behind them, 1A and 1B, and then we have staff and facilities. Those are all things. Anything other than that, any expenditure outside of that, we need to be looking at managing every penny with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that we are being efficient and that every tax dollar is being used wisely.
Amber?
The funding for school district budgets are about 100% earmarked by the state through regulation and laws. The state will even tell the school districts exactly how much money to spend and even who to spend the money with. Another prime example of the good old boy corruption system at work. The school district in Florida only have control about 2.5% of the discretionary budget to work with, and that is determined by the state. School districts can't even make cuts to most programs, even if they wanted to, because of state laws and regulations. The only thing school districts can do is cut personnel and raise local taxes. This is the system that our current state legislature has created and controlled for the past 25 years, and hopefully that will change.
Okay, so we'll start with you, Ms. Jantz. Please tell the voters why they should cast a vote for you on August 20th.
So I believe that people should cast their vote for me because I am truly up here as a concerned parent, and I believe that we need to bring change to our school board. There is a whole theme of political drama and theater that's lurking over our school board, and it really needs to come to an end. We need to pay our teachers a livable wage. We need to show respect to all students. And I believe that we can do that together.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Well, I don't disagree with Ms. Jantz. I would share with you that I not only look at the issues that are confronting our schools from a concerned grandparent or parent, but also through the lens of a law enforcement officer, through the lens of a high school administrator. I was a high school dean and high school administrator for 12 years. I was a high school football coach, varsity football coach. I was an associate vice president at Florida Tech, worked my way up through the ranks at Florida Tech. And I'm also the CEO of the Home Builders and Contractors Association dealing with vocational issues. So I think I have a diverse background, not to mention that I was a elected two-term city councilman, and I've worked with the Police Athletic League as the executive director working with at-risk youth. That was quick. Anyways, so that being said, I think I have a diverse background. I want to use my experience to be able to help the community and help Brevard Public Schools be the best they can be. Thank you.
Okay. On behalf of the Brevard Federation of Teachers, I would like to thank both of you for being here and for sharing your reasons for making the very real choice to run for school board. I also want to give a shout out to our audience members. You guys have been amazing. So obviously we have one more district to go, so I'm going to turn it over to Zach.
Thank you for everybody for tuning in here today. You can watch replay of this candidate forum on spacecoastdaily.com. We're going to have District 4 that is coming up next here. We're going to get started in about 10 minutes, but we want to make sure we thank the candidates for coming out here and letting us get to know them a little bit more. And like Vanessa said, you guys were a great audience, and we are going to get started here in about the next 10 minutes for District 4. So take a quick break, and we'll be right back here on spacecoastdaily.com.
And if anybody needs restrooms, you go out this door and take a right.